Yeah. Now that I'm picking it through, I just ain't fell in love cause I'm way too awake. And she try fucking a rapper to break on my heart, but my heart doesn't break. Soon as I link with these niggas, they feelings are written all over they face. What? Okay, great. I'm in the back room of Wally's, I spent 30,000 on somebody's grapes. We done did so many pull-ups on niggas, no wonder we getting in shape. Too busy backing my words up with actions to ever go front of your face. What? Ayy, shit done changed. Billionaires talk to me different when they see my paste up from Lucian Grange. Told myself that I would get through this verse and I'm not gonna mention the plane.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the number one favorite station at ATL, Power 108.9.
Yo, it's Michael McFadden of Power 108.9, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for a new house? If so, you need to holler at our guy, the mortgage guy, Alvin Jameson. AlvinJameson.com. Yeah, Alvin like the chipmunk, and Jameson like that fine whiskey. Not only can he help you on the purchase of that new home, he can also assist you on that refinance as well. So whether it's FHA, conventional, and of course that VA home loan that you sitting on right now, yo, call Alvin Jameson. 404-587-9033. Once again, 404-587-9033. Trust the guy we trust here at Power 108.9. Alvin Jameson. AlvinJameson.com or just call him 404-587-9033. And of course, tell him you heard it right here on Power 108.9. Let's go.
My powerful and pristine people, it's your boy E-Money, your favorite engineer. Check it out. If you want to get involved with Power 108.9 as far as partnerships and advertising, if you want to reach our 50,000 plus listeners and viewers per week, please email power1089ads@gmail.com. That's power1089ads@gmail.com. Speak to our marketing director so we can get you set up and ready to go. Let us help you reach your targeted audience and expand your brand.
Simpson came out with a video yesterday and said there were a lot of brothers and a lot of people that was in the NFL that was gay when he played.
We saw Walter Payton play and Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith.
Can we take a break?
When we come back?
Is it just me?
Oh my God.
Y'all done see, what's the dancing show? Y'all done see that?
Oh my God.
He that little boy.
But that was salsa.
Power 108.9, a station for the people.
The opinions and views expressed by this program are those of the program host, and guest, and do not necessarily reflect the views of Power 108.9 and its officials. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Pro Day Podcast on Power 108.9. I'm your host, Coach Clark, and today we have the number one, let him say it, the number one QB coach on the East Coast / worldwide. I don't know why he gave it the coast. He hails from Tampa, Florida, Armwood High School, FAMU University, and then he ended up in the A-Town, and he went to work. In 1997, he started Hustle Inc. Quarterback Academy, where he believes in fundamental and development. Real big on fundamentals and development. Then in 2015, he developed Hustle Inc. 7-on-7, the number one 7-on-7, as he would put it, academy. What do you call it? Hustle Inc. 7-on-7. 7-on-7. Well, all they do is collect first place trophies. I know I see that because he be laying on the ground, making jokes. First place trophies and helping kids, young men, get scholarships. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Coach Tony Ballard. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Appreciate it, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Man, definitely. Look at our engineer going crazy. Coach, what you think about, we always start off the show with a little news. What you think about the Hall of Fame? Any quarterbacks you like in there, or who'd you like in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I'm a big Peyton Manning fan.
Peyton Manning, okay.
So,
before Denver, or?
Before Denver.
Okay.
I've always been a Peyton Manning fan. Obviously, before him, my favorite guy was John Elway.
Okay.
But Peyton Manning has done an unbelievable job at the pro football level, and man, hats off to him. Congratulations to him, accepting that award. So that's pretty good.
Man, I was loving Edgerrin James' speech.
Unbelievable. But he gave it to you straight with no chaser.
Man, I had an opportunity to meet him a couple of weeks ago, trying to get him on the show. Very, very busy from here to Florida, but I dialed in on him, and man, he kept it, as the kids say, super 100.
Oh, he did. He did.
You know, at the end of the day. So therefore, what do you say?
About the gold teeth in the jacket.
Go from gold teeth to gold jacket. But towards the end, man, when he said, I'm a correctional Canton institution, I'm inmate, open up his jacket, 339. If you didn't really catch it, you missed it. So I tell everybody, you better watch it again.
Absolutely.
And I like the way he spoke on Black Lives Matter without saying the quote Black Lives Matter. He just spoke on, you know, I protected my quarterback, speaking about Peyton Manning. So that's how we have to protect our society, man. That was the best speech I probably heard in all the Hall of Fame speeches, man.
No, there's no question. That was a really moving speech. Obviously, Shannon Sharp had one as well. But Edgerrin definitely, I think he caught the eyes of all age groups with that one. So if any of the young people that had an opportunity to listen and watch that, I'm sure they got a lot out of that.
And go look at his stats. Go look at his YouTube clips from Miami to Indianapolis. The man was a baller now.
No, he
got this.
He earned that.
He earned it. Every yard of it. It's you quarterbacks. What you think about Josh Allen contract? The man had 6 years, $258 million, 150 guaranteed. What you think about that contract?
Well, one thing I'm never gonna say is I'm never gonna have any issues with a man collecting $1.
Definitely.
I'm not, because you know what, man? If you have not played at that level or even been up under center, how could you imagine what that young man is going through? He has brought life to that program, to the Buffalo Bills. So, in my opinion, he absolutely has deserved that money, because there's no telling what Buffalo's making off of him.
Definitely.
So, I think Josh has done a tremendous job, and now getting that bag, he gonna have to produce.
Because he produced a lot last year.
Right.
The whole team did. We're gonna give it to the whole team.
Well, the expectations just went up. The expectations just went up.
How much more could they go up?
Have they when the last time Buffalo won a Super Bowl? I'll wait.
Okay. So not just go, because they went like 5 times straight and didn't win.
But they didn't go with him. They went with Jim Kelly.
Well, I mean,
no.
Quarterback now,
huh?
He was a good quarterback too now.
Right, but my point. Well, the difference now versus when Jim Kelly was playing is money that's coming in is totally different now. I'm just merely saying that they've given Josh Allen that kind of money. Now their expectations just went up. He's shown them that he could take them to a playoff level. Now that we've kind of paid you a lot more money, our expectations is for you to now take us over the hump, take us to the next level.
I'm not saying I have an issue, but I got a concern. Do you pay him for expectations, or you pay for him what he earned?
Everybody's getting paid for expectations. Tell me where when I say expectations, there is still a possibility guys are getting paid based on what they've done up to the date. However, if I'm going to give you this kind of money, you mean to tell me that I'm just paying you for what you've done right now and that's it? No, I'm paying you for what you've done up to today. Now let's take this thing to a whole nother level.
Definitely, man, and we'll bring that back. I brought that question up, so that's for the pro guys, but we're going to simulate that question later on in the show to the young guys in speaking scholarship dollars. So we're going to tap back in on that. Condolences and prayers to the Bowden family.
Correct.
We lost a legend in Coach Bowden. Definitely prayers up for their family, man. Training camp, NFL training camp. I'm watching NFL Network every day, seeing the different training camps. What about your boy Davis Mills? I got to speak on him now. That's your guy now.
Man, you know what, man? I'm so excited for him. Me and that young man talk on a constant basis. Obviously, we have had this relationship since he was in the 7th grade. I've actually been his personal quarterback coach up until today. But everybody's path is differently.
Right.
And the path that he took, he still accomplished what he needed to accomplish, and that was to get to the next level. Obviously came out of high school, #1 quarterback in the country, had a knee injury his senior year, tweaked it a little bit, only got a chance to really get 7 games in at Stanford, but he showed the country, and that's the reason why he was drafted by Houston in the 3rd round, that he's capable of playing at that level. And look at what he accomplished in 7 games at Stanford.
That was his senior year?
Yeah, it was a senior, but he still had 3 years of eligibility left based on his knee injury.
Gotcha.
So he could have stuck around for another because he had the knee injury, and then he has 2 years of eligibility. So he could have just stuck around if he really wanted to. But Davis was a hot commodity guy, not necessarily as big as the guys that went first round. Whether it was Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Love, those guys there. But I think he was a guy that everybody thought that had the pro skills, had all the intangibles from a physical aspect to a mental aspect. But I think what it was is they questioned a number of games, and they wanted to see exactly how healthy he was in that knee injury. And he ran a 4.6 in the 40,
something like that.
4.6. That he lit it up there. So it gave him an opportunity. His stock rose, and now he's got an opportunity. Obviously, he's playing a little bit behind Tyrod Taylor, who's a starter, but Davis will get a lot of reps and
see where it goes from there.
See what happens,
Definitely, Coach. Growing up in Tampa, how was it in Tampa, man? You went to the legendary Armwood High School. How was it growing up in Tampa?
Well, Tampa is now it's lit. It's live now, but it's a good area. It's a good growing, good home growing, stuff like that. You got good friends and family members or whatever. But the idea was never to be there. The idea was only to be there for a short period of time and then try to move on to do something else. Obviously, I was working with kids when I was a kid, whether it was the Boys and Girls Club or whatever it may be. I knew that, growing up, that eventually I was going to put myself in a situation to be working with kids, and that was going to be my life. You know what I mean? Whether it was working at the Boys and Girls Club, whether it was coaching youth football, whatever it was, I knew that was my path to do the things that I wanted to do to make that sort of impact.
Definitely. How was Armwood High School?
Good.
Because I didn't really hear about it until, a good friend
Armwood is a powerhouse.
Gotcha. Definitely. I heard know that.
It's a powerhouse. Callahan was the first coach that was there. They've got another coach now, but Callahan was the first guy. And, when you think of big schools in that area at that time growing up, whether it was Armwood, King, Hillsborough, or whether it was Chamberlain, schools like that, all those schools produce some of the top athletes in that county or whatever. But being able to play for schools like that, I think is second to none based on what you see across the country.
Did you grow up a Bucks fan, or was you Denver back then too?
I was a Denver Bronco fan. You want to know how that happened?
Yeah, just go ahead and let it
So
out.
I got obviously my grandma raised 6 of us in the home.
Okay.
So, and my cousin was there, so that made 7 of us. And one particular day we were arguing in the house. I think I was about 9. And we were arguing in the house about, that's my team, that's not my team. You know how it goes at that age. And my grandma just immediately came in and yelled and said, no. Y'all just pick a team and live with one team. Just pick a team. So from the oldest to the youngest, which I was the youngest boy in the house, and my oldest brother picked the Rams. I had a brother pick the Cowboys. My cousin picked the Cowboys. Brother picked the Bucks, and a brother that picked the Chargers, and it was left with me. Well, guess who was playing on the television at the time? Denver. So I've been a Bronco fan since I was about 9.
Wow.
And I have not wavered. I went through the Orange Crush days, went through the bad days, and went through beating Cleveland.
Okay.
Stuff like that, and that's where I'm at today.
So we know John Elway is your favorite quarterback.
That's my dude.
All day.
That I don't care. Yeah. Hey.
When he was doing the straight drop back.
That's it.
You teach that? The straight drop back?
No.
I was just messing with you.
No. But he's been that dude. So in my eyes, you know what I mean? So I'm excited about that.
Who was your favorite quarterback coach? But before you get to that, though,
there was no quarterback coaches when I was
back then. You wasn't watching it that deep.
No, you learning from people in the street. You learning from people at the park. You learning.
Okay. I know if you like the coach on TV. Like I was a Bill Walsh fan. Like
no, not really necessarily going up like that. Your favorite guy of training was in my area was somebody that was in that neighborhood.
Gotcha.
The guys in that neighborhood was the guys that were teaching you because you go to the park, you could be 12 years old, and the older boys could be on the basketball court, and they needed an extra guy. Guess who was playing? You.
Right.
You could be on the football field, and they needed an extra guy. Guess who the extra guy was?
You was the guy.
You. You could be playing softball. They would be playing softball. They need an extra guy. You. It don't matter what your age was. So that's how you learn as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So
how was FAMU? HBCU. How was your FAMU days?
I mean, you tell me what you think.
Oh no, you was there. I
No,
wasn't there.
I'm just saying when I say it in that aspect, you know for a fact that FAMU is second to none to any school in the HBCU. I'll take that. End of the day, whether it's football, whether it's any sports, or whether it's you do your homework in terms of academics, education.
It's an engineering school, right?
No, it's an engineering school
Or the
that we partner
agriculture.
with. We partner with Florida State, but when it comes to academics, you turn #1 pharmacy school in the country.
Okay.
Education, you know things like that, schools like that. I mean, that you have in those schools that are up top, that are top notch. I mean, they got more merit scholars than Harvard, Dartmouth, Yale back in those days. We talking about the '90s.
Now going back, how was the football different from back then when you was playing and now? Do you see a lot of differences? Is the growth in the facilities? Because you know,
Well, obviously they've made tremendous strides in the program in terms of what the facilities look like, what the uniforms look like. Obviously, Ken Riley has passed away, so he's no longer there. Willie Simmons is the head coach. They've made, just like any other top-notch HBCU program or Power 5 program, you're going to grow with time, whether it's facility-wise, whether it's recruiting-wise and things of that nature, which I still think that they could do a better job at it. But all in all, you know, it was just your upscale HBCU at the time between '90s, late '80s, mid '90s, or whatever. So now they're starting to make some strides in certain things that they're doing.
try to get back.
Yeah, we was back down there back a couple years ago. But we wanted to take some kids back to the program, obviously, and last year, but because of the COVID situation, it didn't happen. So we will kind of get that relationship back. Kenny Black and I, who's the OC, the quarterback coach there, we have a relationship, but we want to basically get all the kids in the program, not just quarterbacks or whatever it may be, because, you know, obviously I'm being known for quarterbacks, but now that we have that 7-on-7 program, now it takes it to a whole nother level to help some of those kids that aren't quarterback, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Let's take it back to 1997, man. What made you say I want to start a QB academy?
Well, so I was working in a program, Boys and Girls Club, back then, and this is well after college or whatever, and Ybor City Boys and Girls Club, and I remember that one particular day that I went to practice, and I wasn't coaching, I was just working there, but something just said, hey man, just go out there and check them out. And some of the things that they were teaching some of the kids out there was I just didn't agree with, and my thought process is that some of those kids had a tool belt. They're just looking for somebody to put an extra tool in that belt, and hopefully they'll be able to use that whenever they need it. And that's where it kind of started. I went on to coach there for 2 years. My last year there, we ended up winning the championship or whatever it may be, moved over to Temple Terrace, started coaching there, same exact thing. And I end up messing around with a young kid in terms of teaching him some things, but how that relationship started was the dad saw me training another kid.
Right,
and he was
right.
just like, can you teach my kid that? He's 7 though, but I'm teaching a 15-year-old something.
Right.
And I never thought of working with kids that young, but I end up doing it anyway. And lo and behold, the kid's name was Garrett Klontz. Went over to play at Jesuit, then he went to Florida State.
Okay.
But he went to Florida State to play baseball instead of football, and was pretty damn good at what he did. And it ended up starting from there. I worked with a kid, Mawan Jackson, played with Onwood, ended up going to North Carolina. They transferred him. I mean, they changed his position to DB, was really good, and so forth. I worked with a lot of kids in that Tampa Bay area for quite some time. And then, obviously, I was working for the State Department of Juvenile Justice at the time. And I ended up deciding that I want to do something better. And lo and behold, I ended up in Roswell, Georgia. I coached over at the high school, Roswell High School, worked with their first quarterback there was Dustin Tolliver or whatever. They went on to win state in 05 against Peachtree Ridge. And then from there, it just jump started. I would probably have to tell you that from 18 years ago, I would have to basically give a lot of credit to Robert Edwards.
Okay. Robert Edwards that went to UGA.
Went to UGA, first-round pick, New England Patriots or whatever. So him and I obviously are friends, and we met through some flag football or something of that nature, whatever. And And he heard that, I work with quarterbacks or whatever, and he said he needed a quarterback in his camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to his camp or what have you, and he ended up calling Eric Richards, who's over FBU,
Right.
and said, "Bro, y'all might want to get this guy. I know you got your
Quarterback
your
coaches.
core coaches, but here's a guy that will probably put a lot of those.
Did
guys
you
to
know
shame.
at that time that you were starting to, as you coaching, you get into it? Did you know you was like, okay, I'm pretty good at this, or did you?
Not at that particular time. Up into that, before I went to FBU, it was like, okay, you got some fundamentals. You got an idea. You know what you're doing. But when you go to Eric Richards ended up calling me off of what Robert said to him or what have you. So my first camp with them was Top Gun. They would bring all their new coaches to Top Gun to see if they would be, if another coach like Jeff Rutledge or Sean Salisbury,
Right.
These guys, obviously these guys play in the National Football League, and they would basically put your stamp on them. So one particular day, obviously I went to the FBU. It was in Virginia. It was Top Gun, and the thing was, I don't know if they was trying to embarrass me or they just really wanted to see if I knew what the hell I was talking about. So they
Meaning
put
the different coaches was trying to do different things or something?
No. So generally when you do board talk, if you have a coach that is new, it doesn't matter what his background may be. You would generally not let him do the board talk because they have camps throughout the year, and
Right.
all these things. Every camp is taught the same thing, whether it's coverages, protections, or whatever it may be. And I was with I think it was the rising junior class or what have you, and they asked me to explain certain coverages, and it was a breeze. And actually, Rutledge said that he thought that I kind of explained it a lot better than everybody else because you could tell that the kids were so in tune to what was going on. So that was kind of like my first test or whatever, and it ended up being a successful. I was there about 9 days.
Okay.
And then I went on to do other things. So in terms with FBU, but I think at that time when they put their stamp on me, it was like,
Is that what got you to start 1997 with Hustle Inc? Like, okay.
No, that was when I moved here. 97 when I just was just playing around with it, man. Just like, I think that I thought that I had a gift, and I just wanted to share it.
Because the reason I ask is I deal with a lot of trainers, as you know, and they always say they try to go to different gyms, try to go to different high schools. People won't give them opportunities, so they say, hey, man, I'm just going to start on my own. I didn't know if you had experienced that same thing. You're just trying to inspire the trainers out here and quarterback trainers.
It just started off in a youth program. It just started off just trying to teach basic, fundamental of how to play the position at a young age, whether it was 7, whether it was 10, whether it was 12 or whatever. That's what I took from that. And moving forward, it ended up being to where I'm at today. But the one thing about it, that being a student of the game, which I consider myself as,
Right.
I'm always learning, I took a time to do things like I would go to college campuses like Jimbo Fisher, Mark Ray, all these guys here at the next level, that I would go and sit and go to their quarterback camps and go in their meetings, sit and talk ball with them and try to understand what they're looking for.
Because if you teach it.
If I'm teaching it, it made it easier for our kids to get recruited and
Right.
transition to the next level to those programs. So that's what I did. And like I said, you go to, I give my hats off to Robert because he's the one that kind of
Shout out Robert Edwards. I know his brother Terrence is
Mm-hmm.
doing some great wide receiver training. So definitely I need your hookup on that, getting him on the show, man.
Absolutely.
I had a question from a parent.
Mm-hmm.
What age should a parent start QB training? If they want to come to Coach Ballard, what age do you recommend, or what age do you start at? Because I think a lot of things is missing. Everybody want to go to the camp. To the parks. Everybody want to go to the college camps. But where do you start the preparation? What age do you think is a good age?
I think it's a good time to maybe at the age of 12.
Okay.
You still got to let a kid be a kid. I think that times have changed where parents are forcing things like that on children nowadays, which at the end of the day, that causes friction between the parent and the kid. I think that if your kid is showing you that this is what he wants to do, then obviously you do whatever you feel that's in your means to be able to help him. However, and some people may say, well, okay, Tony, if you said 12, then why do you have, a CJ Cypher, or why did you train Garrett
just about
Kluntz?
to ask that.
Well, the Garrett Kluntz situation was because I was starting out. But I find that 7, 8, 9-year-olds, how much attention span do they really have?
Right.
And so you got to really know the kid that you're dealing with, and I want to know who that kid is through a parent. You know what I mean? Because you'll find yourself babysitting. So Garrett was much more a couple years ahead of his time. We moved to the CJ Cypher kid who's 11 that, someone just kept bugging me about working with him. He was 8 at the time, or 7 when they first told me about him. I was like, man, you crazy, man. That's babysitting. I'm not doing that. I don't know what he's going to be doing.
Right.
So
you can't have him out there for an hour and a half.
No.
That kid
So I end up David and I, which is his daddy, got together, and I said, all right, man, I'm going to do an eval on him. I'll see what he is. Well, he had my attention for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Because he was so tuned in. If I gave him something, if I verbally told him something, he mentally retained it and physically put it to use instantly.
But that's kind of like, just like you said, he's tapped, he's gifted.
Right. So my point with that, so I was like, all right, you know what? All right, this kid, this is a very talented kid. So what happened was I said, all right, David, I'll train him, but I won't do more than 30 minutes. Because at 30 minutes, he started to kind of
waver.
Yeah, he started to move on
Attention
and do whatever,
Right.
He'll take his time getting the football, whatever it may be. He'll drop a ball. If a ball's thrown back to him, he'll throw it down just for a reason, just to waste time. I said, okay, it's it. Let's cut it off. And we're 3 years later.
So he's 11, and I saw a couple of videos, and he's spinning it. His feet moving. He's doing everything that I know Coach Ballard is teaching. But it brings upon asking this then. You started with him, he was 8.
Mm-hmm.
He's 11 now. I know we spoke about this off air. Then what happens, not saying CJ or his parents will, but you have these kids that start out young, and maybe this is why you're saying start at 12. Everybody starts getting in their ear because they see your post.
Mm-hmm.
You're celebrating the kid. You're not bragging on him. You're just celebrating who he is. And then everybody starts switching. Speak on switching trainers, because now we're not speaking about him switching. We're just speaking in general, because isn't that kind of a thing parents need to be aware of if your kid is starting out with a trainer, especially if he's younger than 12, stick with the process, because when you get good, everybody's going to come at you and want you to come train with them for 30 minutes or come to my camp. Speak on how you feel about that.
Well, if you're going to, if you're going to put yourself in a situation to be helping develop a young man at such a young age, sometimes they outgrow you.
Okay.
So is most of these trainers in the world going to really acknowledge that? Probably not.
That's why I got you on here.
Especially if you shaped and molded a kid to where you want him to be, and then he just decided he wants to move on and do other things. Let's be honest. Human nature is going to tell you I'm a little pissed off about that.
So basically, the 2 gems that you're dropping, if everybody's listening, parents, athletes, trainers especially, it goes back to what you said earlier. You got to go to different colleges or different pro guys and keep learning, because if you get stale with the kid, you might outgrow him, right? He might outgrow you.
Well, it's not necessarily
if you're doing the same drills over and over and over.
But this is the one thing that you've got to, as a trainer, when you start dealing with kids at such a young age, if you're doing the same drills, this goes back to what I was telling you. I'm still a student too,
right?
Even though I'm a teacher, right? Even though I teach, I'm still a student, because now I'm still putting myself in a situation that I have these relationships with these college coaches. I go there and I want to know, and they change. So you'll get a new guy, and this is the way he might teach things. This is the way he might teach a classroom in terms of coverages or protections or whatever. You got to also bring that back to the kids that you're dealing with, and every time that you kind of up that. Now you got to be prepared. But let's go back to the talk in terms of if a kid switches trainers. Well, everybody's not doing what Tony Ballard does. Everybody's not doing what Ron Ville does. Everybody's not doing what Quincy Avery does, right? So my point with him saying is that sometimes kids do outgrow kids. Kids do outgrow you. And it's okay because once a kid moves on to college, really, to be very honest, I'm trying to develop the next one.
Right.
I think that I've done my job, because everybody used to talk about, hey, listen, all right, hey. Logan Burr is gone. Went on to UNC. What you got next? Davis Mills is gone. What you got? There's Harrison Bailey. There's Jared Garantano. There's Tommy DeVito. There's Kenny Pickett. Them guys is gone. What you got next? Okay. Harrison's on his way to he's at Tennessee right now. Tennessee. What's next after that? Well, you got Gunnar Stockton. What you gonna do after that? There's Dylan Lonergan.
Stockton, that's Raven County.
Raven
right?
County.
Okay,
He's committed to Georgia.
Right,
but my point, what I'm saying to you, from the Austin Kendalls, from all these guys that have been a part that I've had a valuable influence on and off the field with these guys or whatever, you got to move to the next guy. Because it's not what development is.
That's what it is.
But we say that's development, but some guys say they're a trainer.
Ooh, big difference.
See, there's a huge difference when people talk about developing, training, or work with a kid. Okay, all right, yeah. I could
speak on those three, Coach. We need to know the difference now.
Well, the difference, in my opinion, right, since I'm entitled to it, is that, and that is this. You got developing, you got training, you got work with. I might have worked with that kid in the camp.
Right.
I see thousands of kids every year, whether it's at FBU or
college camp,
whatever it may be. You see them all the time. That's working with that kid. Training that kid might have came in for a weekend. I trained that kid for like 3 days. Developing a kid.
You've been with him since he was yay high.
That's you. That
him.
means that you've shaped and molded that kid to what it is that you're doing.
Right.
We have a tendency in this training business, whatever you want to call it, to put the wrong label on a kid. And when they start putting labels on these kids, they sit back and say, oh, you know what? That's my kid. That ain't your kid.
Know the difference.
That's not your kid because number one is, and the guys that I really associate with, that I have a relationship with, meaning adults, they don't look at it like that.
Right.
They understand exactly what I'm saying. They would not have a problem with that. But we sometimes have a tendency, we want to put our hooks in these kids, and it becomes an issue. And now all of a sudden, there's a bunch of bickering and all that. A
lot of times, you don't even have to put your hooks in the kid because the loyalty is there when they coming back consistently. They speak on it. The player speaks on it. The parent speaks on it. When they go out and say, man, Coach, who trained your kid? Oh, Tony Ballard. They speak on it when they at college. Man, I learned so much when I was young with Coach Tony Ballard, and I understand it now that I'm in college. I've seen everything that he taught me. So they speak on it. So, again, there's a difference, trainers. Pay attention between a development coach.
You got a developer,
a trainer,
you got a trainer,
and somebody you work with.
And you're just working with.
Boy, you wild, man.
I'm just kind of keeping it 100 because let's think about this. All the quarterbacks that I've had the opportunity to help develop, all right, they all do move on. You'll get these kids that'll come back in town, and every now and then they'll get some work, but they also go across the country.
Right.
They go across the country. You look at all the kids that are in college. Just look at all the trainers out there who really don't necessarily deal with high school kids. They want to get their hands on the college kids.
Right.
Because that college kid is now going to give them an opportunity to probably make some money, serious money, if that kid gets drafted.
If he moves on.
I'm okay with that. You know why I'm okay with that? Because let's say the Davis Mills interested. I got to ride his coattail for the next umpteen years.
That's what you do.
Man, I'm so blessed for his parents, just to give me an opportunity to work with the kid and put a tool inside of that belt.
Right.
I'm okay with that. It's okay, but guess what? It don't stop there because just like I was able to help him, isn't that I'm supposed to now I got to do something for the next guy.
For the next kid.
Because I believe in this. My grandma was old school, and she always said that thing about, it takes a village.
It takes a village, definitely.
And you can't be a part of the village when you being selfish.
And I think that's what propelled you in 2015, if I'm correctly, to start Hustle Inc. 7-on-7.
To a certain extent. So what happened with that was it was kind of forced on us a little bit.
Uh-oh.
So when I say it was forced on it, I get this miraculous call one day, and this call is with Bailey Buchanan, Davis Mills, and so forth. It was a ton of names that was in there, and it was
players,
right. And they were like, "Hey, coach, we want to start 7-on-17." I was like, "All right, good luck with that.
Like,
we can't do it without you." Why you can't do it without me? You got all the quarterbacks. I was like, man. I don't
Because you got all the quarterbacks, different age groups.
Right. But they weren't thinking about the different age group. They was thinking about the time. What was going at the time? Jemias Williams, Balin Buchanan, Kyle Davis and all those guys there. It was like, Coach, no, we
want to beat those guys.
We need to get Davis Mills.
Right.
He ain't playing. He said he ain't playing without you. What? So anyway, we get this meeting. There's 80 kids show up for this meeting. There's only 25 kids. 80 kids. Wow. We ain't advertised nothing. They just show up for this
meeting.
So that's how this 7-on-7 thing started. And we started out with the name was Fundamentally Sound Sports. That started out. It was a solid name. It was a nonprofit organization or what have you. And we didn't lose a tournament, more or less a game, until the second day of nationals that year. We had ran through everybody.
Right.
This
is the first time.
This is our first year. And our staff was me, Steve Mills, Kevin Johnson, who's at Pace, Ray Buchanan, Willie Clay, Stacy Bailey. That was our staff.
Right.
So these kids were getting the best of all the worlds. So we would just do stuff like, hey, man, we got practice. Hey, man, next weekend there's a tournament in Tennessee. Who going? Oh, Coach, we going. These kids they would not want to miss this opportunity.
Competitors.
So we load up in cars and we just go and we'll show up and teams will be coming and whatever it may be, and they'll sit up there and say, oh, this kid's a 5-star, 4-star. Not on our team, their team. Okay. Hey, you're going to be on this side. This the concept.
You were just drawing up, right?
No, we had a playbook.
Okay.
But what it was is because if this DB played the right side of the field and maybe Kyle was on the left side, Kyle, get your ass over here and you're going to be over here. Why am I going over the coach? He a 5-star. Ain't you trying to be the best? Yeah, go up against him.
Play him one-on-one.
Let's get it.
Let's do it.
So we would, from Simpkins that played at Norcross, we were absolutely loaded with talent, and we just roll on people. We just show up. We have our little uniform on, and we be there a full day, and we just.
Was you with Adidas at the time?
No, not at the time. Not at the time, because we was just our first year. And I'll explain how we moved into the Adidas situation. Right. Well, how we moved into the Adidas situation was we got invited. A.G. Wasim, that's my guy down in Florida, Orlando. Okay. Major props to him. So he put us in contact. He was having a tournament, but it was going to be sponsored by Adidas, and we went down there and we
showed out.
We showed out with Harrison Bailey.
And he had to be 9th grade at the time.
He was 8th grade.
8th grade, okay.
He was in 8th grade.
I remember hearing about
him. We showed out with him. And little behold, I get this call from Zach Sowski, who's no longer with Adidas, but at the time he was a big player in the grassroots program. He said, Coach, unbelievable. I said, what do you mean? He says, it ain't the fact of the way you guys play. It's the way that y'all handled those kids. You had those kids in groups. Those kids didn't move. When those kids came up and got uniforms, they said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, thank you. That's what we want. And we got to deal with those guys or whatever. And I believe the first year that we got it was Davis going into Davis' senior year. We ended up winning a bunch of tournaments, but we kind of flashed them a little bit over at Cam's tournament. And
look, and I already know that we were going there, man. Y'all go at it.
You know what?
And Cam Newton, but it's all in love,
right? But let me say this because people don't know this.
Okay,
and that was when I got into the 7-on-7 program. As I watched and we went around the country to play, I mimicked my program. The standard was 2 programs that I saw that I was like, I'm going to take something from them,
okay,
and I'm going to put that in my pocket, and I'm going to introduce how Hustle Inc. will be. But it's a little bit from here, a little bit from there. It was Cam.
Okay.
It was Cam. It was Team Tampa. Cam, obviously, because who he is in the city. But Team Tampa also is because where I'm from, guys like Leon McQuay and those guys that I knew, they grew up with my older brother. I saw them.
Right.
And they tattooed us in that first year. And I was like, nah, bro, we can't go out like this.
Right.
But the way they did it, and they were Adidas team at the time, it's just how they handled it, how they handled their business. And I just took what they had and I said, you know what?
So speak on that real quick to up-and-coming coaches that want to create a 7-on-7 team. Mm-hmm. What would be your word of advice for them getting started? Because everybody doesn't have a sponsor. So, it's kind of like AAU basketball. They're trying to get a sponsor. But if you don't have a sponsor, speak on encouraging them how to go about it.
Well, to be very honest, our team was sponsored our first year based off of me, Steve Mills, Ray Buchanan, and Willie Clay.
But you got so many guys out here stealing kids or going to this kid. Can't you bring them up? Because I see a lot of 7-on-7s. You're bringing up kids nobody knows. You're doing your tryouts or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think it's a lot of 7-on-7 teams that are just, they want the best of the best. You want good talent, don't get me wrong. But you can't do it in and out every year. Y'all got 15U, 16, 17U. But I think it's just need to be heard to these coaches what needs to be done in this walk of 7-on-7 and how you need to, your purpose of it.
Well, what this is just everything that you do in life. It ain't got nothing to do with 7-on-7. What's the rhyme or reason why you're doing 7-on-7? That's where people have a tendency to get themselves in a lot of trouble because they have no rhyme or reason. And if they have a rhyme or reason, it's probably the wrong reason.
Right.
So think about that. So the rhyme or reason why we got into it, at first we just got into it just for the heck of it because of a bunch of kids. And also it gave our quarterbacks an opportunity to throw against live bullets without having, a front or whatever it may be. We taught them how to proper drops. We taught them how to throw in small windows and really how to read progression and see the field without having to worry about everything up front. So that was the number one reason. The other reason that we got into it is development.
Right.
I think that, everything that we do, anybody that has played us know that we don't run gimmicky plays. We run things that are going to transition back to their high school. Concepts, giving guys coverages, based on our sheets that we try to give to our kids. And we talk about one side of the sheet being man, one side of the top of the sheet being zone. We want to let the kids make that decision on what he sees and go through the progression of that, what that may be. The ultimate thing I would tell guys, like I said, is the rhyme or reason. What's your rhyme or reason of doing it? Because at the end of the day, if you're just in it, just thinking that you're just going to make a ton of money, somebody tell me how to make that money.
Right.
Somebody tell me how to make that money because at the end of the day, we're not.
It's not giving you
we had 5 teams this past season with no tryout.
Right, because of the pandemic.
Dealing with COVID. But granted, Adidas does take a lot of that off our hands because the bulk of this stuff does come from uniforms. Well, we have earned that. Mm-hmm. No, let me say that we. Well, I got to say we.
Yeah, you're a part of it.
We have earned that because of the guys that I've had, the quarterbacks I have. Obviously, that plays a big part in it because they do things for our quarterback camp and all that stuff like that as well. But for the most part, man, we've set a foundation.
Definitely. Now that you spoke to the up-and-coming coaches trying to get their 7-on-7, speak to the parents and players on why they want to get on 7-on-7. What do you offer at Hustle Inc.? Because I get the questions of, are the 7-on-7s supposed to get your kid recruited? Are they supposed to put you in position? Or what? When they come to Hustle Inc., what are they supposed to do?
Well, one, Hustle Inc. ain't supposed to do nothing but give your son a good experience, good coaching, and let the rest take,
fall in place.
We're going to try to do the best that we can to develop him. We're going to try to expose your kid to maybe some things that probably he couldn't get exposed to. So when you start to get to a point, you talk about recruiting, let's make sure we understand this. Let's call a spade this. Ain't no 7-on-7 team getting your kid recruited.
Oh, okay. Say that one more time.
There is no 7-on-7 team getting your kid recruited.
Gotcha.
Why? Because the things that are happening on Friday night has to happen. You have got to, Brian Miller, who coaches at Parkview, DB coach, he coaches our younger kids, and I always take this in my head. He said this: at the end of the day, you got to put some shit on tape.
You got to have a resume. So
my point when I'm saying to you, so we don't get this twisted when I say 7-on-7 don't get you recruited, because you still have to play on Friday night. Now, here's what 7-on-7 teams do. They give you an opportunity to probably get exposed better than what you really think it is. Why? Because most of these 7-on-7 teams, when they go play on tournament, they're visiting schools.
Right.
So if you've got what we do, let's just start with hustling. We will have a profile on every kid in our program. And if we're going to go play in a tournament, let's say we're going let's say we're going to Florida, somewhere in Florida. Well, we're going to stop somewhere. If I'm going to stop at University of Florida, I have a relationship with those guys. Kiwan, man, hats off to my boy there. I would send him an email. This is our roster. Boom, boom, boom. They're going to go through that roster. So they're going to give us a week in advance before we get there. If we get there, now they've already did their homework. We've exposed that kid to that program because maybe that kid can't do that. Exactly. We have that platform. So we're going to use it. At the end of the day, we do use our platform. Do we care about winning and losing? Man, come on, man.
Come on, automatically.
Yes,
you
of course.
Win.
Hell yeah.
You want to win.
However, the biggest gratitude that I get out of this, and that is being able to see a kid earn the fruits of their labor. And their fruits of their labor is not playing 7-on-7. The fruit is something they got to do on football on Friday night. The 7-on-7 is just a platform to get them here.
Right, because I had a conversation with one of your great players, DJ Moore. I went to dad with his high school, Derek. And he called me and he was like, man, his son is phenomenal, man.
Correct.
Kid, he work out, he look good, he can play good. And he was just, I said, his film is not ready yet. But I said, on the top 7-on-7 team, man, Coach Ballard going to provide the platform. Because he asked the question. He was like, well, is Coach Ballard supposed to do? I was like, nah, you're not supposed to do nothing now. He's supposed to give your son the experience. But I said, Coach Ballard will go to bat. You just got to be patient. Be in position. He's going to go to you get a seat at the table. You know a lot of coaches out here. And before you know it, he started getting offers. I said, you got to perform at these 7-on-7. You got to put on a show now. And then when they start hearing your name more and more, and then saying, okay, I got a little bit of film, but then I'm looking at what he's doing with Tony Ballard, and I know that his mental game is good. He knows coverages. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to be in position. So I can take a chance on this kid. I think a lot of parents don't understand that. Preparation is just so key. But I do understand what the parents saying. Every 7-on-7 team is they're getting picky now. Like you do the tryouts, but I said, did you go to the tryout ready? I don't think they understand y'all when y'all do y'all picks.
That's
it's just like college recruiting though.
Right, but at the end of the day, I can't speak what everybody else does, but what we do. That's why we had 3 18U teams last year, or this year rather. We had a red team, a white team, and a blue team. Well, the blue team were pretty young, but they were pretty inexperienced. So what we want to do is keep those kids so we can develop them and move them on to the next level. And hopefully they will be our travel team, in 2022 or whatever, if some of those young 15U kids don't take those spots. Because our 15U team was really, really good this year. But the thing about it is that, is it picky? Maybe. You do know what you got. You do. However, when you come to the trial, however, though, we always looking for the next gem, and I think we've been really good at that.
Oh, definitely.
We have been really good at finding a nobody and giving him an opportunity so everybody can see him, and now he becomes a somebody like DJ Moore, guys like that. But that's just our thing. I mean, I Cam and them have a great organization. They have great coaches over there. But man, it's hard. It's hard to beat them guys I got. It's hard to say that your staff is better than my staff. Anybody across this country, not just to say Cam.
And that's only three. I know. But Cam AAU. You got Hustle Inc. You got Cam Newton. I like Coach Dre with Pass.
Pass, right?
He Coach Powell do his thing.
That major props to him because he technically runs a training, and if you don't train with him, he don't want you on his team. Right. So that goes kudos to him in terms of what he's done with those kids because he's training and develop those kids year round, not when 7-on-7 season.
Right. So, he developed them when nobody else wants them.
Mad props to him.
Coach Dre, man. Yeah. And you got to make that ride out there to hire him.
It's a hike.
It's a hike. And I tell people it's no matter what. And I also tell parents, you got to get into it because I watch parents on your 7-on-7. I was telling DJ, but you got one of your moms, Miss Aaron, Coach. I call her Coach E. Her youngster is AJ, right?
AJ Cromartie.
That joker, he trained. He got his schoolwork, but then I see him at the Hustle Inc. He balling,
right?
And just to see him from young and see him come older, of course, again, go back to saying he's been developing with y'all. Of course, he has some genes in his background, but still, you got to train and put in the work. And parents have to get involved and be willing to put in that work. You can't just show up at Hustle Inc. and think it's going to be okay. You got to be willing to off the field to put in some work.
There's no question. It's the same thing whether it's with Hustle Inc. or whether it was C1N or whatever. We all kind of have that same model. You know, we all have great coaches. We have a foundation that we didn't just start yesterday. Obviously, we have difference of background, financial backings that may happen. So obviously, we understand what Cam's situation is, and mad props to him because he's a guy that plays at the next level and brings his time, and people really don't really respect that.
Appreciate it.
They don't at all. So, you know, my hat goes off to him. But in terms of our staff, man, we've got a foundation there, and we've got a good group of coaches that is not just about that, but it's about that they show up when we practice, when we play in tournaments. They're constantly there, and they're constantly giving these kids advice, not just on the field, but off the field. You know, that's the role. And they're living what they're saying. It's their truth. It's like if they're telling the kid you can't be doing this, they ain't doing it. Right. So, you know, we do well. We've got we're doing well. You know,
what's the future? What's the future for Hustle Inc. Quarterback Academy and 7-on-7? Because, you know, I keep my ear to the streets, man. I'm hearing about Hustle Inc. Enterprise with turf fields and stadiums, man.
Well,
can you give me a scoop on that?
You always trying to. You know, I'm always thinking about this, and that is this. Every day, or basically, especially after 7-on-7 season in October, we kind of have a come to Jesus, and we talk about, hey, man, we shouldn't do that no more. We should do this, you know, yada, yada. And I'm always listening to that constructive criticism. Yolanda Jackson Cozy, which obviously that's Deion's mom. Deion plays at Notre Dame. She is absolutely, in my opinion, the backbone to what we got going on at 7-on-7. Don't get it twisted. She is in control of that, and she will tell you up front, we're not doing that, Tony. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
You need that, though.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So what the future holds, well, hopefully the future holds of being the fact that I have a nonprofit. You know, you want to get into the point of how do you get to a facility to be able to teach these kids not only the things on the field but off the field. You know, whether it's in recruiting, whether it's in academics, whether it's just in life skills. Because you and I both know, man, today's youth is going through it now. You know, it's all kind of stuff. Kids are into it heavily, whether it's smoking weed or taking gummies. Yeah, right. Yeah. You know, so
gang banging.
You know, we definitely want to really get heavily into that point.
You do a great camp. I don't know why I almost went over my head. I forgot about that. You do a great camp. And you actually up here by the Battery, up here by the Braves Stadium, man. These guys get to come out. But you do such a phenomenal camp, man. You travel. I think it'll be big, man. I don't know. Adidas, you know, need to go ahead and plant that seed with you, whoever, man, and get some acres of land, because with the traveling, with your 7-on-7, with your quarterback academy, how do you find time, man? But if you had your own facility, got your training with your academics and 4 or 5 fields, kind of like Lake Point Sports, I would say. Would that be something you would be interested in?
There's no question. Okay. There's no question. You always want to be better today than what you were yesterday. Gotcha. And if those are the things that obviously that is going to make you better today than what you were yesterday, I'm all for it. But we all move at our own pace or whatever. So whenever I feel the time is right, you know, there'll be some things that we will do. And there are a lot of things that are in motion to make Hustle Inc. a better brand. I think we're a national brand now. We've been that for quite some time. And we've done a good job. So we put a lot of good people in place, and I wasn't big on content till obviously Smooth came on a couple of years ago, and he was big on it. Young kid that's a genius with a camera, and now he's up to another level. So now we have another kid, Sauce, that's over there who does a great job in our program with content. So we'll look to see what we got up our sleeve in the next couple of years or whatever.
You said up his sleeve, man. I think you got something big, but you gave us enough. You gave us enough good answers to deal with. What's the big misconception of Coach Ballard? Because I seen you in action now. I know Tony Ballard. We just hanging out. We was just over here at the Battery. But then if you go to one of his camps, and if you're able to get a lanyard and get out on the field, you got to be careful. Because Coach Ballard is totally different from Tony Ballard. What's the biggest misconception from training to being just who Coach Ballard is? What's the deal?
I'm probably the nicest guy you ever want to meet.
Right
now, Again, no filter. I could be an ass.
Right.
I will be one. However, there's a time where you got to turn it on, you got to turn it off. I'm a people's person. I think that if you approach me right, then it'll go right. But if you approach me wrong, it could potentially go wrong. It all depends on what you're approaching me about. But I'm not going to even say what's the biggest misconception about Tony. It's just get to know Tony.
Right.
Don't even try to figure it out. Just get to know him.
I think everybody gets to figure it out on coaching instead of getting to know you as a person, because it's two different people.
No, I you know what? I think I'm the same. I'm
Man.
I'm very energetic. I am. I'm very passionate about what I do.
I think that might be what it is.
I'm
When
passionate.
you're locked in on the field, this is what it's gonna be.
Now I'm passionate now, but don't waste my time. If I'm gonna give you my time and my energy, you should give me your time and your energy. I'm gonna break a kid down, then I'm gonna build him back up. I think that if you think about all the kids that have been in our program with the 707 Quarterback Academy, if they stick around, they will say, you know what, that was the best decision that I made.
So with that being said, how do you like the fun times with the kids? I know how it was coaching high school football, being on that road, going to college camps, going to this and that. Tell us what you like
Man,
about
the
hanging
best
with these kids.
I'm telling you right now, the best time in Hustle Inc. is riding the bus or getting on flights with those kids. Because now they tell you exactly who they are.
Right.
And some of the things that they say and do, you be like,
and they watch you.
Yeah,
they can mimic you.
oh, now there's no question. There's
Every
no,
move.
Oh, they'll do it all day long. But just to fellowship,
Right.
You know, we sit down and we could talk about and I've had conversations with kids and I've helped kids get out of some of the roughest moments that you would never believe.
I believe
Kids have called me late at night, Coach, man, can you Uber me back? Where you at? So the things that we think that we know is going on with today's youth,
They don't know.
the people don't know. Kids have called me and, Coach, I need this. Can you help me out with this? Of course. I mean, it's only right. I just don't want kids to put themselves in a situation that if they got to go out and steal, rob, and all that kind of
Call
stuff
you
like that,
first.
you know where that's going to end up at. It's going to end up in the wrong way because they become habitual, and before you know it, you know, all hell is broke loose and their life is gone. You know, you and I both know it's easy to get into trouble, but it's hard to get out of it.
Harder to get out, man.
So I mean, if it's within my means and I could give a kid a part of me, then why not? So
Right.
I'm good with the on the bus, on the planes. I mean, we took 30 kids to L.A. to play in a 7-on-7 turn, and that was probably the funnest time I've ever had, by far. But we took kids the first year when we went down to in 707 went to IMG to play. I just remember that Miko Hardeman and Corey, I can't think what Corey's last name. He played at South Carolina,
right.
racing, and at Applebee's with no shoes on. On the way back, we come back. On the way back, we stop at a gas station. Might have been Ocala. So the guy behind the counter got on jeans, boots, whatever. He looks like an athlete. He comes out and said, "Hey man, what y'all got going on? Where y'all kids coming from?" They was telling about. He says, "Ain't none of y'all could beat me." We was like, "What?"
He had on boots?
Yeah. He says, "Y'all." He told us a little story about him. He had got himself in a little trouble, you know, went to jail and whatever. He said, "If y'all can beat me, anybody can beat me running, y'all can come in the store and get what you want." I said, man, let me tell you something, bro. They finna get everything out this store. You gonna race everybody. He raced Miko Hardeman. Miko in the store with 3-4 bags coming out of it. He raced Kyle Davis. He raced Josh Baby.
What was he thinking?
He didn't know who them kids was.
Wow.
He in the store talking about, man, Coach, I ain't believe it. Yeah. They done pull their shirts off, their shoes off, and they racing in the parking lot. They dusting.
Those be the best times, though, man, the trips.
And that trip was really only from Sarasota, supposed to have been 9 hours. That trip ended up being like 12 hours because wherever we stopped, it was fun. And we also had real moments on that bus where kids were talking about things that they were going through.
Man, to me, that's the best time of coaching, man.
How their lights was being turned off.
Food to eat.
You just
everything.
hearing it. You like, bro, that's you can, Coach, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. Top 5 quarterbacks all time. Your top 5. before we get up out of here.
Training or
no top 5 ever. We're gonna start with that list because we about to get up out of here. My engineering top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
It don't matter. No
age, no nothing. Your top 5.
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Mike Vick.
Okay. Right.
John Elway.
I was wondering if he was coming.
Last but not least, Warren Moon.
Top 5 Hustle Inc. teams.
Top 5 Hustle Inc. team.
So we want to sing out players, but top 5 Hustle Inc. teams.
The best team we ever had, period, probably was. I got to go with the star. I got to go with Miko and them. We destroyed them. We destroyed the country. They were 1. Probably 2 was Harrison's going to Harrison's senior year.
Wow, yeah.
Where we led the country in scoring. We were scoring like 49 a game, easily. And there are teams that we bust the clock.
Man, receiver at Marietta.
Eric Gilbert.
Yep. No, the receiver that's getting recruited by everybody. Denise Livingston's.
You
David Martin.
Daniel Martin.
Daniel Martin.
Well, he plays. He's gonna be a safety.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but he plays with us too. So that was 2. I would say probably when Eric and them were Eric Harrison, Jermaine Burton, Josh Downs, and those guys were 15U. They would be number 3.
Okay.
They were loaded. Number 2, you'd probably take probably Harrison's freshman year. Last but not least, probably the best. I would have to get into that category is this year's 15U team. It was really good.
Definitely.
Was really good. Our 14U team was really good too. We destroyed a lot of people, but
so they still got a lot more to go.
They're gonna move to the 15.
Yeah, they got a lot more to go.
It would be. I would like to see what the transition, the growth they made from this year going into next year. But this year's 15U, by far, Hilton's son, Deuce, Chase McCrary, McCurry's boys in the back end, Rod and those guys. I mean, just we had. And we obviously placed 3rd at Nationals this year.
Where can parents find you? You do different type of training now, but what's your platforms? I know you got Hustle Inc.
Just, you can go on social media and find me, whether it's Twitter, it'd be T Ballard, QB Coach. Instagram, I don't run it. Sauce runs on Instagram.
But that's Hustle Inc. though, right?
Yeah, that's Hustle Inc.
Okay.
You can go on Facebook and find me. I'm rarely on that. But, I mean, we have a website, obviously, hustlelinkfootball.org. So that'd be probably your best bet or whatever. So
Definitely, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on the show today,
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having
showing
me.
light on this next level, man. I really appreciate your time. And keep grinding, brother.
I appreciate it.
Keep
I hope
putting
that
them out.
I gave you what
Gave these parents, man. We trying to inspire these parents and players on getting the proper training if you want to be a top quarterback or if you want to play on the top 7-on-7 team.
I ain't going to say top quarterback. I would say it like this. This is what I would say.
I'm going to let you say it.
I would say it like this because I'm a little humble, but I will say this. Development does start here.
Hey, that wraps everything up today on Pro Day Podcast with Coach Ballard on Power 108.9. Love, peace, blessings.
Looking for a sweet lick, but this is the wrong place, man. 7 times shower, I care about a case, man. I'm campaigning to bury the hate.